Hi guys, welcome to your quarter in Medical Detectives. We're going to use this presentation as a way to give a little bit of an introduction into the course, myself, and then some basic expectations. All right, so if you have not had me yet for any of the Project Lead the Way classes, this is going to give you a little more info. Best way to contact me is going to be during East time or using an email. I'm always checking email multiple times a day, so know that that'll get your quickest response. I have 13 years of teaching experience, so prior to this year, this is year 14. In the past, I have taught middle school science, both for 7th and 8th grade, and then I taught a high school physics and chemistry class. I've also taught middle school, high school math, elementary, and then I had to go back to Purdue to get my certifications from them for the 3 different Project Lead the Way classes. Some personal info. I have one son. His name is Stone. We are getting into the busiest season for him, which is travel baseball. He likes basketball as well, but baseball is definitely his favorite. He typically tends to stand out at 5'2" tall when he's in the 4th grade, so he's definitely a pretty tall kid. All right, basic expectations for my classroom. I want your Bluetooth on at all times. I use that to monitor and change the screens for displaying things. So that means if your iPad isn't charged, bring your charger with you. That way we can find a location for you to be able to charge your iPad while you work in the classroom. Water bottles are fine in my classroom. There'll be a couple times when we do labs where they will not be allowed at the tables, but we'll find locations for that. And then I generally am not going to want them at the computers. Because this is a lab classroom, we're not going to be doing any eating in the classroom. So that needs to be consumed. If you have a snack, it needs to be during the passing period. If you have candy or gum, that needs to be in your mouth prior to coming into the classroom. And then obviously if you're done with your gum, find a trash can for that. But you need to make sure that you are not consuming items in the classroom. When you come in, I would like you each day to have your iPad, something to write with, and then other academic work. So that could be an ebook, an actual book, or other homework. If you have your earbuds in during the passing period, that's fine, but music is going to be a privilege. So with that being said, I want the earbuds to come out once you're coming into the classroom so that you can get focused on the board and see what the bell work is and what's being asked of you. Phones also, as you're coming in the room, will be put into the pocket chart that is on my classroom door, and we're not going to pick those up early. Once I have dismissed you at the end of the class period, that's when you'll grab those. But they need to be in the door pockets, and that means prior to the bell ringing to start class. Don't pack up early. We're going to have plenty of time to space labs out. Some days we'll have extra time and some days we won't. Work until that process comes. We're not going to line up. We're not going to start to move towards the door. So just kind of stay put until class has been dismissed. Basics on grading and PowerSchool codes. At this point, you probably are very familiar with our PowerSchool codes, but we'll take a look at those again. The grading policy in here, we are going to have your grade weighted. 70% of your grade is going to be coming from projects and labs. 20% will be coming from our unit quizzes. So we have 3 different units. You'll have 3 different quizzes. And I call them quizzes. They're not quite a full long test, but they're going to cover the same thing a unit test might in one of your core classes. So they'll cover all of our unit items within that one test. So they're a little bit shorter, I guess, by number of questions. And then bell work, we're going to have various types of bell work. Some bell work is going to be written questions to preview a lab, so you're going to have to go to the internet and search. Other ones will be spot checks to see if you have learned the information we've already covered. And then others could be asking you to get lab materials. So each day it's a little bit different depending on what we're working on. The PowerSchool codes, again, just a reminder, the LS is a low score, meaning you turn the lab in but didn't earn at least a 50%. I encourage you, if that shows up, go back in, see what you didn't finish, complete the lab, and submit that for a new score. NHI, you didn't turn it at all. So again, find that lab, get it completed, and get it submitted. If an item is turned in late, you will get a 10% deduction. So if you forgot to turn it in or you got home and didn't remember to do that, I guess that's still forgetting, but one way or the other, it didn't get submitted, turn it in. Even if it's past the due date, I will accept work for this class all the way until 4 p.m. on the last day of the quarter. If you're out sick, you need to make sure you check in. If you're out sick 2 days, you'll have 2 days to make up the work. And then after that, on the third day, any of those items would be late. All right, so what are we gonna cover in our course this year? In our first unit, we're gonna look at some basic vital signs. You'll take your temperature, blood pressure, and heart rate, and you'll be able to talk about those and see where they should be in comparison to an adult as you're growing right now. We'll look at pathogens, specifically foodborne pathogens, and we'll take a look at food safety. We will also do a research project on different biomedical careers so that you can take a look and see different careers that you might not have known about that are still in the biomedical field. Our second unit we'll get into, we're going to go through quite a bit of information here as our biggest unit. We're going to go through the 5 senses and basics about them. We'll look at hearing loss and how that could apply to a teenager. We will look at nerves and the nervous system. In our genetics area, we'll look at diagnosing a patient who has a genetic disease, so you'll walk through the steps of the diagnosis process. And then we will take a specific look at genetic testing. We also will do a short lab on Punnett squares. We'll look at human brain anatomy, and then we'll do one dissection when we compare a human brain to that of a sheep brain. When we get into our final unit, it's going to be a combination of other things. It is a smaller unit, but we will look at microorganisms and antibiotics. We will do a foodborne pathogen outbreak lab where an outbreak of a certain pathogen has taken place at a restaurant, and we have to basically narrow down the food and the restaurant and the number of people that might have consumed that. We will do a forensics area in this unit where we look at time of death calculations. We'll look at suspect identification when that comes from DNA collected and how they use an electrophoresis test to determine suspects from DNA collected. We can do a bone and height analysis lab. And then our last one is going to be a forensic case analysis where you will watch a basic case and be able to collect evidence from that to come to the very end where you come out with your outcome to the crime. As the quarter progresses, if you have any questions, make sure that you are in contact with me. Email or during the class period is going to be obviously the easiest ways to get a hold of me throughout the quarter.